Tell me, have you ever had a situation where you analyze the market using your strategy, you open trades in the direction you're confident about, but the trade still ends up closing at a loss and you just can't figure out what you did wrong? It seems like you opened a trade from the oversold zone, meaning you checked the indicators, followed your strategy, saw that the market was oversold, so it made sense to open a buy trade, but the trade still closed at a loss. You start wondering, what went wrong? You look at your settings, double check everything. Maybe you set something up incorrectly. Maybe you chose the wrong market settings. But no, let me tell you, that's not the issue. The real problem is that you're using the wrong entry points. And in this video, I'm going to share the top 3 entry points you need to know to trade properly on Pocket Option. If you're interested, then let's not waste any time and get this video started. So let's take a look. Let's talk using a strategy based on support and resistance levels as an example. Every strategy has 3 subpoints, and this one is no exception, guys. There are 3 here. The first subpoint is to actually identify the level. In other words, we determine where our level is. You see, I've already marked it once, twice. The second subpoint is to figure out where the price is heading, up or down. And the third subpoint is directly connected to the first and second. So look, using the first point, we've identified the level itself. See, I'll even mark it for you. Here, we've identified the level and figured out exactly where the touch point is. Now we look at the next movement, which is already the second subpoint. And using these 2 subpoints, we look for our entry point. So the third subpoint, right now, we should have the perfect entry point. Let's wait just a little bit and then we'll open a trade. Alright, the price has reached this upper level. We'll open a trade from this level for a drop, expecting a bounce. So guys, it's all very simple. In any strategy, there are 3 things. First, you need to identify the zone where you'll be trading. In my case, that's the level. In other cases, it could be a bounce off some line, for example a thicker one, or maybe the alligator's jaw, Ichimoku, or using overbought or oversold signals from the stochastic or RSI. So it's all very simple, just figure out your entry points. The second subpoint is to determine the overall direction of the price, so you can use that to figure out the first thing, meaning where you'll enter. And the third subpoint is to decide when exactly you'll enter the trade. So using the first 2 subpoints, you determine the third one, where to open the trade. So roughly speaking, you open, by the way, the trade just closed successfully. So basically, look, you just go like this. The first step is to determine your entry point, where you'll enter the trade. In my case, that's a level here it was above. When it comes to indicators, it's a bounce off some line at a crossover or something like that. The second step is to determine the overall price movement, whether it's going up or down. In other words, you just figure out where your price is headed, which of your entry points is for a decrease or for an increase. And using these 2 steps, you then determine the third step, that is, when you'll actually open the trade. So, using my first step, I identified the lines, meaning the levels, and with the second step, I figured out where the price is going. That is, my price was moving up toward the upper line, and with these 2 steps, I determined the third step. I'll open a trade here, meaning I'll open a trade for a decrease from the upper level. It's really that simple. Write this down somewhere if you didn't get it, or just rewatch this part. But if you really understand the essence of how to trade using these 3 steps, it'll be super useful for you in the future, and you'll be able to skip over the junk setups. And let's back this up with some basic analysis, without any extra steps. To start things off, first of all, we identify and mark the resistance and support zones. Here, I've already clearly marked them for you. That's done. We've completed the first step. Second, we look at the price movement. The price movement is upward, so I'm waiting for the price to reach my resistance zone, and I've already decided on my entry point. So I have 3 subpoints: the resistance and support zones, the direction of movement, whether it's upward or downward, and my entry point. So that's it. It's all very simple, guys. Absolutely anyone can understand this. You just need to remember it and go over it a couple of times. And that's what I wanted to prove to you guys. So, it's all very simple. By utilizing these 3 subpoints, 1, 2, and 3, we carefully determine the zone where we'll trade, accurately identify the price movement, and locate our specific entry point with the help of these subpoints. It's all very simple, guys. Look, here's the next situation. I'll open a trade now, but let's break it down. As you can see, we have an upward movement right now, which we've identified. But the important question is, when should we open a trade? First, we look at where we should open a trade at all. So if there's an upward trend right now, it makes sense to open a trade in the direction of the trend, meaning upward. But where exactly should we open this trade? Maybe at some level or maybe at some indicator crossover. Now, there's one interesting rule. I would say it's a pattern or the 4-candle rule. So if you see that there's a movement, it doesn't matter if it's upward or downward, and you notice that 2 or 4 candles open in the opposite direction, you open a trade in the direction of the trend. So in our case, the trend is upward, 2 candles of the opposite color appear, we open a trade in the direction of the trend, and calmly collect our profits. So this is a very interesting rule. I'd even call it a pattern, 2 or 4 candles. It works incredibly simply. Most importantly, it's almost 100% reliable. I'll say it again, guys. We determine the trend, so in our case, it's upward. And we understand that if the trend is upward, we open a trade in the same direction, upward that is, to buy. And we look, if we get 2 or 4 red candles, like here, where 4 red candles appeared, then we open a trade in the direction of the trend. It's all very simple. This pattern, this situation, happens quite often during upward or downward movements. And as I said earlier, they're almost 100% reliable, meaning they're very solid. Everything here is very straightforward. We identify the movement, here it is, and we see that there's a correction happening. Here it is, for example, there was a price correction. If the candles open downward, we open a trade upward from there. Close the trade in profit, as you can see, no problem. Then we see another correction happening. Again, we open a trade upward, that is, in the direction of the trend, and close the trade in profit. Look, there was another correction. Again, 2 candles. We open a trade upward and get our profit again. So this is the second solid entry point. And guys, if you don't feel like looking for reliable entry points or anything like that, I recommend you join our VIP channel. It's absolutely free for everyone. To get in, all you need to do is write, "I want VIP," and we'll add you to our VIP channel. Every day there are 2 sessions here. The first session, as you can see, is at 11 o'clock, and the second one is at 4 o'clock. So what actually happens here? We give 8 signals on a single currency pair, and we trade on that pair, providing signals for either upward or downward movement. For example, we had a trade going down, it closed in profit, then another trade down, and that one also closed successfully in profit. Yes, guys, there are losses sometimes, but let me tell you this. Almost all our sessions have a success rate at 95%. If you're interested in trying out trading on our VIP channel, just send us a direct message saying, "I want VIP," and we'll add you to our VIP channel so you can trade with us. And the third reliable entry point, guys, is at the intersection of the lines. So as you can see, I opened a trade right at the intersection of the lines. Right now the line bounced back a little, but that's no big deal. I opened the trade exactly at the intersection, right here, when the green line appeared. You open the trade right at the intersection, and this is what we call the third truly reliable entry point. How does it work? When the red line crosses the green one at that very moment, we open a trade to go down. So for example, it would be right here. The red line crossed the green one, and right at that moment we open a trade to go down and make our profit. Same thing when the green line crosses upward, just barely, open a trade to go up, make your profit too, and the trade closes successfully in the green. As I told you, I opened a trade to go up right at the moment of the crossover and got a great profit, which closed many points higher. Of course, there are also junk entry points. How do you even spot them, guys? It's actually very easy to spot them. When you see this kind of movement in the market, like here, right, we're just starting to see some movement, a crossover happens and you think, oh, that's a solid entry point. But no, guys, when you see this kind of movement on the vortex indicator, that's what's called a junk entry point. It's better to skip these, because all you'll get here is a loss, since the lines are intertwining and you just keep getting signal after signal. Yeah, it might look like a crossover just happened and it seems like a good entry point, but no, they happen all the time here, and that's a junk entry point. And let me give you another tip. This works perfectly with an 18-period setting on the vortex indicator. You can also add another indicator, like the RSI, to see if there's overbought or oversold conditions during the crossover. By the way, that's a good strategy too, guys. So I hope you understand that our solid entry point is right at the crossover of the vortex lines, or on another indicator where there's a line crossover. And that's it, guys. I've told you about 3 great, reliable entry points that you should remember and use in the future. If you haven't memorized them, guys, watch this video again, because in the future, these 3 entry points will be really useful for you. You'll need them, and you'll understand why your trades are closing confidently in profit or in loss when you're sure about your entry point. That's all for now, guys. Don't forget about our VIP channel, which I've already told you about. There are 2 trading sessions a day, one in the morning and one in the evening. We trade 8 signals per session, so that's 16 signals a day. Also, don't forget about our Telegram channel. The link is in the description below the video or in the profile header of our YouTube channel. Subscribe. We show and talk about a lot more strategies here. We also demonstrate exactly how we've been consistently working in our VIP channel and provide you with a lot of other things here as well. That's it for now, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and write comments. Let us know if this was useful for you, if you found it interesting to listen to, and if you learned something new. Thank you all for watching. Bye everyone!